We can see the sun rising on a beautiful hilly horizon. The young master is seen lying in his bed with his hands between his head. Yo is annoyed that he didn't get a wink of sleep the entire night because he was too busy worrying about entering the Infernal Arts Academy. He decides to get up and start the day nice and early. Yo opens the windows and sees that the sun has still yet to fully rise. It's finally the day I enter the Academy of Infernal Arts, he tells himself, as he looks outside his window at the courtyard. He is surprised to see Guard Jung practicing his dagger technique so early in the morning. He is sweating from the intense physical activity. Yo watches intently as he strikes and then somersaults back and then strikes behind him. His movements are making the wind and leaves around him blow away from the speed. The young master puts his head on the windowsill, wondering if he should have learned Guard Jang's dagger technique in secret while he was still little. But he reminds himself with a serious expression that the other 6 sects always had their eyes on him, and they would have never left him alone. He remembers the promise he made to his mother on her deathbed, that he would not learn any martial arts before entering the academy. Nano calls out to Yo, breaking his train of thought. She asks Yo if he would like her to scan Guard Jang's training. This is a shock to the young master, and he asks Nano to repeat herself. Nano explains that she can scan Guard Jang's movements and then transfer the data to the user's brain. Yo sweats a little, wondering what he should say. Nano continues, saying that she also has other various kinds of martial arts that are already in her database. Yo is too stunned to speak, and Nano asks if he would like her to transfer all the data to him right now. He takes another look at Guard Jang training so hard, and wonders if it would really be okay to steal his technique, which he has been developing for the past 20 years. But he reassures himself, saying that at the end of the day, he will have to enter the Infernal Academy without a guard. So he needs to learn a way to defend himself against all the people who have grudges against him, and will use the advantage that he doesn't have a guard with him to their advantage. He gives Nano permission to start the scan, and his eyes start turning blue as he watches Jang's movements without missing a single second of his technique. Guard Jang goes from a side position, swings his arm around his body, and then swiftly thrusts his arm forward for a frontal strike. The young master continues watching his guard. John continues his technique training without a clue that he is being watched by Yo. After 1 hour of watching, Nano announces that her scanning of Guard Jang's techniques have been successful. She initiates the transfer process again, and Yo winces in pain as an electricity bolt goes through his brain. As he collapses onto the floor feeling exhausted, Nano tells him that the scan has been completed. The young master tells himself that it still sucks, but he is getting better at coping with the transfer process. He tries to think of the technique, and it all comes up as if he really did all the years of training. Yo laughs and says out loud that he can't believe how broken Nano's abilities really are. He decides to try a few of the movements for himself. The young master gets up and sprints forward, grabbing the sword on the other side of the room. As he unsheathes the blade, he feels the technique in his fingertips. Before he starts doing anything crazy, he remembers that Guard Jang is still outside practicing, so he quickly closes the window with a loud clack. Yo gets into position and breathes out slowly. In a single moment, he swiftly opens his eyes and thrusts his sword forward, just like Guard Jang did. His foot slams down on the wooden floor, creating a little indent. He pauses with his arm outstretched. The young master is shocked he can really perform the techniques that took Guard Jang 20 years to develop. Yo looks at his fingers as he remembers all the strength and form training, called Jiaoshi. Guard Jang would perform Jiaoshi every day until he perfected it. But the young master feels all the practice in his fingertips without training for even a day. Nano announces that she has completed analyzing the muscle fibers and tendons used in the techniques, and asks Yo if he wishes for the information to be transferred to his muscles. He looks a bit lost, asking what Nano means by saying that. She explains that if she doesn't transfer the muscle development information to his muscles, he will experience extreme amounts of pain. As soon as she finishes talking, right on cue, all the pain hits Yo at once, and he starts throbbing from the muscle spasms. He falls to his knees as his legs hurt from just standing. He starts trembling as electric sparks surround his body. Yo asks Nano what is happening, and she explains that he used a new technique without the muscle development that he would have acquired through large amounts of training, resulting in muscle and tendon damage. While wobbling on the floor, Yo asks if Nano could make it a little easier for him to understand. Nano announces that she will be adjusting her language level to the user's level, and Yo feels a slight hint insulted by her remark. She explains it again in a level that Yo understands a little bit better. So he asks Nano if she can start the transfer. She tells the young master that the transfer will take around 2 hours, as all of his nanomachines will need to be activated. Yo is content with it taking 2 hours, as he will still have plenty of time before he enters the academy. Nano also mentions that she will be putting Yo to sleep, as the process is extremely painful. He asks Nano if it hurts a lot, and she tells him that a total of 1.3 million people have fainted during this process he is about to undergo. Nano asks Yo if he would like to undergo the process without being put to sleep. He asks her if she can put him to sleep during the transfer if he can't handle it, and she agrees. With that, Nano begins the transfer process, and his body starts to flinch and shudder as the electricity surrounds his body. The young master is surprised that it doesn't hurt too much. He tells Nano that she was just overreacting, but before he can finish the sentence, we hear a loud crack echo throughout his body, and he instantly collapses onto the ground. He grits his teeth, trying to distract himself from the blinding pain, and Nano initiates the anesthesia prompt. He falls unconscious and hits his bed with a heavy plop. We see Guard Jang cutting up some vegetables in the kitchen. He takes a sip of the soup and compliments himself on his cooking skills. "This is as good as any local chef could make it," he says. He tells himself that he should go all out and make a bunch of the young master's favorite dishes, since today is his last day until the Infernal Arts Academy. He starts to cut a melon in even thin slices on a cutting board. He thinks about how time flies, as it has been 5 whole years since he started cooking for the young master. He admits that he couldn't even cook rice at the beginning. He remembers seeing the young master's mom on her deathbed. As he grabs her frail, small hands, she tells him to look after her son. He remembers how she was killed because of a small dose of poison 5 years ago. He hopes that she will watch over the young master, so he will be able to cook for him once again after today. He suddenly remembers that he hasn't checked up on the young master all day. He drops his knife and sprints towards Yo's room, slamming the door open when he arrives. He is greeted by the young master, passed out on his bed. He checks his pulse and says it feels normal, but wonders what Yo could be doing to make an exhausted face like that. He notices something on the ground and recognizes the exact feet patterns from his own dagger technique training. He feels the wooden indent and wonders to himself why the young master was watching him train, and for how long. He assumes he is at least in the second stage of the dagger technique, judging from the depth of the footprints. He sits down and chuckles to himself, wondering if it would even be possible for the young master to catch up to his 20 years of training in only the 2 years he has been able to train.